If you were a casino game, you would have the best odds. Welcome to Primary Technology, the show about the tech news that matters. Huge show today. It's our 50th episode. Exciting news again about the merch. We're going to talk about that Mike Tyson fight. I have an iMac M4 in green sitting right here. Want to discuss that. The DOJ wants Google to separate, maybe even sell off Chrome, the web browser. That's huge news. NVIDIA is making a ton of money, and we have a special top 5 holiday gift guide. Jason's got 5 things. I've got 5 things we're going to recommend for you, your friends, and your family. This episode is brought to you by Notion, Data Citizens, Dialogues Podcast, and Audio Hijack. I'm one of your hosts, Stephen Robles, and joining me, as always, is my good friend, Jason Aiton. How's it going, Jason?
It is good. It is snowing here, Stephen.
Are you for real? It's snowing up there?
Super for real. It is snowing.
That is crazy.
I'm not even joking.
Crazy, but it's our birthday, Jason. It's the 50th episode. I don't know what you call that.
Aren't they all technically birthdays?
Well,
49 was a birthday too. It's just this is one we care about. We're over the hill now, Stephen.
We're over the hill. Episode 50, halfway to 100. That's the big news, and I'm so excited to celebrate about how wrong you were about dots in the Mac, on the Mac dock. I'm so excited. That's the best part of this birthday. Just kidding. We'll get to that. I'm wearing our merch right now. This battery.
I like that.
I have more energy than this, but this is. I'm going to wear this to a lot of parties. Maybe especially around the holiday season. You know, you put a nice jacket over it and just, open one side of the jacket and you show your battery at 1%. So
you don't talk to me right now.
Exactly.
Just point at your chest.
Just point right here. So exciting news. Again, we have merch, if you didn't know, just in time for the holiday season. You can get the shirts, battery percentage on and off. You can get a PTS Primary Tech Show shirt. You get hoodies. We have hats. And a couple exciting news. Cotton Bureau, who makes it, Basic Apple Guy designed it. Cotton Bureau, that's where you get it. They actually tweeted our merch saying there's a right way to live and a wrong way to live. Don't disappoint us. Battery percentage off and on. So Cotton Bureau's sharing it. We were apparently in the top 10 shirts on Cotton Bureau for a day. And we already have listener John Holzer here with his battery percentage off.
Love
Wonderful. Listen, send us all your pictures. I don't care if it's 100 pictures of listeners wearing our merch. We will share them all in rapid fire in the episodes coming. So, yeah, exciting stuff.
I also just want to say that even if you're on the right side of history and you believe the battery percentage should be on like a normal person, it's fine to buy the battery percentage off merch because honestly it looks better. Just because it just does.
yeah, sure. So that's, I am battery percentage off. But I like the PTS shirt. I'm getting a hat as well. So I'll be on low battery for all the things. Also, more exciting news. Not only is it our 50th episode and we have amazing merch, we are now a 5-star podcast once again.
Love it.
We've
I check
it.
every day just so I can tell you when we make it back.
You are the way I know. I don't know. Like you notify me when this happens.
Well, I think I texted you. It was like 7:30 in the morning or something, and I was doing the math. I'm like, I think I know when Steven gets up, and I'm like, oh, who cares? I can send him this anytime. He'll be fine. Doesn't matter.
Well, you can schedule text now too. I've actually used that a couple times because I'm a night owl, and so like I'll be up at 1 a.m. like I probably shouldn't text this person right now.
Yeah.
But also they should have a focus mode on. I mean, let's be real.
That's true.
We should do another. Now I'm curious, how many people actually put focus modes on when they go to sleep at night? If it's like, do you have the sleep thing automatically do its thing, or do you? Anyway, we'll workshop that poll. But 5-star review shout outs. Thank you all for helping us get to a 5-star rating again in Apple Podcasts. We have XOXO Wolfie, battery percentage on. Okay, dominant pocket, thumbs up. Apple Pencil pointing away from the buttons. Nobody's perfect. G Apple Pro from the USA. Battery percentage on. Dominant hand pocket. Apple Pencil point facing the charging port. I guess that's the same on all the iPads. Yeah, okay. Melody of 1974 from the USA. They said we're the primary experience, which that's high praise. So, and Demis GCY from Cyprus. International ratings as well. They listen to Primary Tech while they're running. Bryce Winters from the USA. Doc Dots On. Can't wait to get to this. This is so good. One Republic is Nuts from Switzerland. I don't know. I guess that's about the band. Dots On. And the title of their review was Jason is Wrong, which, listen, as long as it's a 5-star review, you can write whatever you want.
You really can.
And I just want to say Dots On 1, not only on social media, not only in our community, social.primarytech.fm, and in the reviews. Dots On. Everybody say, look at that, 100% dots on. This is in our community. Links in the show notes. Everybody's dots on, Jason.
I saw that.
And even over here, you're trying to shame Nick over here about the dots on. No.
But I think, listen, you are the person who tells people to never think about which apps are running on their phone.
That is true. I have a whole video on it.
So what is even, how can you possibly live your life this inconsistently? I don't understand.
Listen, I think the mark, well, I don't know who said it. The mark of an intellectual is to hold two opposing ideas in your head at the same time. Listen, you don't swipe your apps up on your phone, but on your Mac, now on my Mac, I quit apps all the time because I'm running things like Final Cut and Compressor and Transcriptionist in the background doing stuff, just hogging my GPUs. I quit stuff. I like to quit stuff.
But if those things aren't running, they're not hogging your GPUs. Also, podcasting doesn't require any GPUs, just to be clear.
Well, ours do. Well, I mean,
No, it doesn't.
Yours is processing. Yours is doing the studio lighting.
It's all happening in the. Okay, one of the GPUs, just one. One of them is being used.
Yeah, well, anyway.
All I'm trying to say is,
yeah,
the reason those dots exist is like a legacy thing, because there was a time, mostly when you were running any Intel Mac, where you did have to care about whether or not an app was running in the background, but you don't. And the reason that Apple allows you to turn those dots off is because it never wants you to think about which apps are running. Also, Command Tab works super well. If you want to know what's running, you just Command Tab, and you use it all the time.
You can also quit from Command Tab.
Yes, I learned that from you. I do it all. It's great. I do it all the time.
It's a great shortcut. So on your Mac, Command Tab is quick switch between applications, and if you just go to highlight one while you're holding the Command button, you can quickly press the letter Q, and it will quit that app from that app switcher. Like you don't even have to bring it to the front. But here's the other thing: on the iPhone, the window has to in order for an app to be running, like the window has to be open, like active.
Yep.
On the Mac, you can close all the windows of an application, but the application is still open in the background. You know what I mean? Like Windows, you X out of a window, like the app is closed. Well, as far as you know. But on Mac, you can have applications running with, and not quit fully.
Yeah.
So you could have no windows on your display, but if you go to the tab switcher, you still see it there. So that's why I like quit it. I quit stuff on the Mac.
Yes. So just to close the loop on this, because I know you hide your dock.
I do hide my dock.
So what is quicker for you to know if an app is running? To reach over, grab your mouse, drag it to the bottom of your screen, and wait for the dock to appear to see if there's dots, or to just hit Command Tab?
I have a lot of apps open though. Sometimes, like right now,
it's still going to be quicker. This is like you would use the mouse to go down and see which ones are open, and then right click on them all individually.
It's not even something I do like purposefully. It's just when I go down to the dock and maybe to open an application, I like seeing what's open. Listen, all I'm saying is,
more people said dots on.
More people said dots on, and just keep them coming.
You can keep them coming, but I promise you, turn them off for a week, and your life will be better. Try it. Just try it.
I might try it. We'll see. Probably not. But anyway, thank you all for at least justifying the one argument that I won in this podcast is dots on. All right. Did you watch the Mike Tyson Logan Paul fight?
No.
I know. You always say you don't have time to watch anything, so I doubted that you watched this. Turns out I watched some of it. Well, okay, here's the thing.
When you say you watched some of it, is that because it just kept stopping? Or...
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. So this was so hyped, and I'm not whatever the fight, whoever was involved. I'm not interested in that. I'm interested in the actual tech of what happened and what it means for Netflix, because they have a bunch of live events coming up. But I did watch it. I think I inadvertently got my kids into boxing and just didn't expect that. Not during this fight, because this one took forever to actually get on, and so I never actually we didn't see this one live. But the fight before it was with Serrano, and I forget the other name, but it's actually a great fight. Pretty violent, but my kids were pretty invested by the end of those rounds. But when the actual Tyson and Logan Paul fight came up, or excuse me, Jake Paul? Yeah, Jake Paul.
Correct.
Just buffered like crazy. And I saw just all over on social media, on TikTok, Netflix is really messing up here. There's other phrases I would have used if this was a PG-13 rated podcast, but they totally failed on the buffering thing, which is fascinating. Netflix is a huge company, but they don't do live events. That's not typically their thing, but they're trying to get into more of it. And if you weren't aware, I'll put a link to this in the show notes. They actually have 2 NFL games on Christmas Day, which is typically a big day for NFL games and such. And so they're going to be streaming those events live. A lot of people are going to be watching that. I also think, aren't they broadcasting a Beyonce concert next year? Didn't they announce
Well, I think it's halftime at one of the games is going to be Beyonce.
Oh,
But,
okay.
So
Gotcha.
a couple of things of note. First of all, I didn't watch this because I had just gotten off a plane after traveling for 19 and a half hours on Friday.
Right.
Just to be clear, it wasn't like I was not trying to miss out on the social, cultural. I just was giving up on all social anything. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
Secondly, there was 60 million people watching this. The thing people are saying is like this is bad for the NFL. Netflix is hosting these two Christmas Day games, which, by the way, Christmas Day football games is actually a relatively new thing. The Christmas Day always belonged to the NBA for a very long time, and the NFL's like, we're just going to kill you. Like, we don't care. Wow. We just want all of the money that we can get by selling these games to whoever wants them. And so Netflix was like, we'll take them. But the average football game, like for something like this, is probably going to be like 20-some million people. So like half. I think Netflix will be fine for Christmas. But the reason, like Netflix has one of the most efficient tech stacks of all of the streaming services because they literally take the content and send it to hard drives stored at ISPs. Not even like CDNs. They actually have their own networking gear at your Xfinity and Spectrum or Metronet or whoever your company is. Yeah. But you can't do that with a live event. Right. And the other thing, Ben Thompson talked about this both on Dithering and I think in one of his Stratechery articles. And he also does another one called Sharp Tech, where he was talking about it with Andrew Sharp. The problem is when you're like, Netflix can certainly handle 100 million people watching Netflix. It's just they're all watching something different and starting it at different times. Right. So it's not drawing all that same thing. But with a live event, that's completely different. And so, but again, the idea that they're not going to be able to handle those Christmas Day games, which will probably have roughly half of the viewership, I think that they'll probably be fine because all of the undercard fights, I guess, went fine, right? Like,
yeah, it was fine. Yeah. There were a couple moments, but nothing like when the main event happened and it was just unwatchable, or it was like 20 minutes delayed for some people. So, I used to work in live production situations, and I hope there's some documentary or some interviews one day just talking to the tech people who are like the IT people that were responsible for Netflix's stream, just to talk about the chaos that was probably ensuing during that event. Although once you're there, like there's not much you can do. It's not like you could spin up a bunch of new servers or whatever and make the stream better immediately. But I would love to have seen the behind the scenes of that moment to see what happened. So that's
I actually think they can. I'm sorry, because if you think about Netflix's infrastructure, they have local infrastructure at ISPs, and again, I don't know exactly how it all works, but also they host a lot of. Like they're one of AWS's biggest clients.
Sure.
And if there is a single cloud service that can scale instantly, it's going to be AWS. And also, if you think about the way those cloud infrastructures work, if 60 million people are all watching this fight on Netflix, that means they're not doing anything for work. So there's no draw for any of that other stuff. All that excess computing capacity could be just funneled towards Netflix.
That's true. The second thing and last thing I'll say about this, there was a Decoder episode with Nilay Patel and the Netflix, one of their, I think they have co-CEOs, right? Isn't there like two?
Netflix does, yep.
Yeah, Netflix does. But they were talking about the algorithmic delivery of the movies and shows when you first open Netflix. And if you weren't aware, like this happens with YouTube, this happens with Netflix, like the moment you open the app, it's not like there's preloaded videos and shows. That's why it takes a second to load, because it's doing a bunch of computational stuff behind the scenes to figure out what is best to show you right now. And if you listen to that episode, I'll find the link for the show notes. The Netflix co-CEO was basically saying, like, we go through like your watch history, what's popular now, what the algorithms think you would be interested in, and it's serving you that like in real time. And it happens so fast that it doesn't feel like that. It feels like, oh, this has just been sitting here for hours waiting for me to open the app. But it's the same thing with YouTube. That's why every time you refresh the home tab, you're going to see different stuff, because it's always trying to recalculate what to show you that's going to get you to click on something, watch it, and watch it for a long time. That's what all these platforms want. So it's just amazing to me, like the incredible technology and algorithms they have on that side of it. But listen, live events are hard. And so this is not great. We're also going to talk about like how these events play out on social media, but we're going to save that for the bonus episode, because we're going to talk about Threads and X and the Jaguar rebranding because that was hilarious.
Oh, yeah, that was so bad.
Now, I'm excited because I have a new Mac, Jason. Actually, this is not full disclosure. Apple sent me this iMac. I didn't buy it.
You know, technically, Apple will send anyone an iMac. All you have to do is send them $1,500.
Well,
okay. I just want to be clear.
I got the green one. They sent me the green one
As a review unit. That's what he's
as a
talking
review
about.
unit. This is a review unit. I'm very excited. Green is my favorite color. The green looks amazing. They also sent me the Nano-Texture version. So I have a green Nano-Texture iMac. I literally have it right here. I was going to try and show it on camera. Here we go. I'm carefully covering my entire frame. And there it is.
It looks very shamrock green in that shot.
Listen, these greens, they change drastically depending on lighting. Like,
well, I mean, you have a green light behind you, so that might be affecting the color.
Yeah, it all affects it, yeah. But it looks beautiful in person. I'm going to be reviewing it, testing it out. I try to do a Canupsi photo. I don't know if you ever see the picture of him on a beach where he put the iMac like on a big rock as if it were a desk. I think I'm going to try and mimic that down here at the beach. But anyway, I want to review it. But the one thing I want to say, Nano-Texture. This is a Nano-Texture iMac. This is the first Nano-Texture device from Apple that I have in my possession and I can just stare at for hours. I see the difference, and I'm glad I don't have Nano-Texture on my devices.
Wait, really? Hold on. A couple things we got to start with. You said you're going to take the iMac to the beach because you're hoping this is the last Mac that Apple ever sends you to
Apple,
review.
don't listen to that.
Okay,
Just forget
you ever said that. Okay, fine.
I'm not going to put it in the sand. I'm just going to find a big rock.
I just wanted to clarify.
Put it
Secondly, I'm pretty sure that Apple, everything that they sent out this review cycle was Nano-Texture because they sent me an iMac with Nano-Texture. They sent me a MacBook Pro with Nano-Texture. If they could have, I'm pretty sure they would have sent a Mac Mini with Nano-Texture. It's just it doesn't have a display on it, right? Maybe the little light is the front light is Nano-Texture. I don't know. They were very high on Nano-Texture. And every review I've seen was, especially with the MacBook Pros, was all Nano-Texture.
Yeah.
And I think it's the highlight feature of the MacBook Pro, but you don't like it on the iMac?
So this is why I'm going to be silly and bring it outside to the beach, because supposedly Nano-Texture diffusing light is the biggest deal, and that's the most useful thing. That's why maybe on a MacBook Pro and on an iPad, if you're going to be outside, it makes a difference. I just had it sitting here in the studio yesterday on my desk, and the way my window is, there's never direct sunlight in the window. And so I had this iMac sitting right next to my studio display, and I looked back and forth, and when you're comparing it side by side like that, I noticed the contrast difference, and I noticed how everything just looked a little soft because of the Nano-Texture, and just the saturation of colors and the blacks. And like, it still looks great. And like, if I just turn off my studio display and I just look at the iMac, after a few seconds, it's like, oh, whatever. Like, this looks great. But when I'm comparing it side by side, and I imagine if I was editing a bunch of videos, and this was a computer that was going to sit on my desk where there's no direct sunlight ever, I would probably go with a glossy still. But that's my like 1 day impression. So we'll see.
Yeah, and maybe on the MacBook Pro, it's a little bit different because it has a much better display than the iMac or the studio display. And it's brighter now, right? And so it's possible that could be part of it. But if I could, I'm working on a review of the M4 MacBook Pro, and if I could, I would pay an unreasonable amount of money the next time that they release a MacBook Air. If they would sell it with this display, Nano-Texture, mini LED, or OLED or something,
right?
You could sell that thing for $2,500 as a MacBook Air. That display is just so good.
So what you're saying is I need to hit up Apple again and say, listen, the only way I can review this iMac is if I also get an M4 Max MacBook Pro spec'd out with Nano-Texture, so I can compare the display, because that's really what I need.
Just do that before you take the other one to the beach. That's all I'm going to say.
No, I can't take it to the beach. Listen, if Canupsi's photo, it like lives on forever. People steal it all the time. So I'm going to try and recreate it. Florida Beach. I'm trying to get a palm tree in the photo with the green iMac. I think it'll look great. I think it'll be a great photo. Anyway, I'm going to review that. Also, USB-C accessories, cool. Like, that's fun. Because it came with the iMac, you know what I mean? So now I have a Magic Mouse with USB-C. The keyboard, correct me if I'm wrong, Jason, I feel like the iMac used to come with the half-size keyboard, like the 75% without the number pad. Didn't they used to just come with that and not the full thing?
I think you're right, but I think it's an option. I think you can choose. I just think that they send you the bigger thing I don't know why, because they sent me the same thing and I quickly
Okay.
dispatched it to the bottom shelf. I don't even use it.
Dispatched it. I will say, I'm curious your preference. I don't care for the full keyboard with number pad, especially on a Magic Keyboard style keyboard, because A, I don't use it.
Yeah,
And B,
I hate it.
Okay, yeah. So we agree on this. I'm curious the listener and viewer's opinion. But also the Touch ID button is like in the middle of the
Yep.
keyboard almost because it's so big. And so I don't know, I feel like I'm going to touch so many buttons just doing Touch ID, whereas the small Magic Keyboard, which is what I actually use all the time, like being right there on the edge, like you can just quickly like
Yeah.
reach in and do. This is weird because I don't have it on camera, but anyway, like it just feels more natural to just go to the top right corner, Touch ID, no problem. The big one, it's like, where is it? I don't know. So I don't prefer the big keyboard. But that's
Yeah, I don't either. And to add insult to injury, they sent me two because they sent me one with the MacBook, with the M4 Mac Mini, and one with the iMac. So I have two of them that I'm not using either of them for. I started using the one with the Mac Mini
right.
for the Touch ID, and I just
Yeah.
decided I don't care about Touch ID enough to suffer with this keyboard because I don't like the full size keyboard. I don't understand how anyone can possibly use these, and so it literally has been on the bottom shelf. And this is a 15-year-old keyboard, and I'm still using it.
I don't know how you're using that.
And I have to change the bat. Like I literally have to change the bat. Steven,
chart. No, you got to get a new one.
why?
The new one's better. I think.
No.
I like-
Listen, the new ones are way too low profile, and
They
they're
are low
not
profile,
nearly
yeah.
squishy enough keys. This is the best. Anyway, doesn't matter. But it is an $80 option, the large one. So normally, if you just bought
Oh,
an
is
iMac and you didn't upgrade the keyboard,
You get the small
listen. Why would you pay $80 more for a worse experience?
If you're an accountant, because I remember I worked at an insurance company for a little while, and I was doing a lot of spreadsheet work. And when you have to enter numbers, that numpad is nice. But I don't do that a lot of editing video. Also, I just want to say colors, Jason. Colors are fun, and this green, like everything. Look at all the colors. The power cable, color. The computer, color. The accessories, the keyboard, the mouse. Well, it's very light mint on those accessories, but I like the colors. I would love to have colors. I love the green. But anyway. Speaking of the keyboards and stuff, I reviewed the M4 Mac Mini and talked about how I use it as a home server. And I have my old Mac Mini there and the new one. Here's a comparison. Apple TV, new Mac Mini, old Mac Mini. And I talked about how I use it as a home server. I will say trying to set it up without kind of a dedicated keyboard and mouse with it was a little bit cumbersome because for some reason I have like other Magic keyboards, but the Bluetooth wasn't syncing and the Mac Mini setup. So I had to like pull out a mechanical keyboard, USB it, and then the Magic Mouse wouldn't connect. So I had to do like my Logitech MX Master 3 with a USB cable. Like it was weird anyway. So not having the keyboard and mouse on setup was a little cumbersome, but it's now set up and the Mac Mini is chugging away buried in an entertainment center. Let me try to find the picture of it. Here's where I put it. This is me pushing the power button. My hand was shaking because it's so much work. So much work. So the M4 Mac Mini, it's in the entertainment center. It's doing my things with Transloader and Downey and Hazel, doing the Plex server stuff. And I wanted to use it for streaming. And I was like, base M4, I mean, this is going to be more than enough, I think, to stream like 1080p video. And so I put OBS on it. I have an Elgato capture device where my son's PlayStation is going into the capture device, back out to the receiver. And it's working great. Yeah, he's been like streaming live on YouTube with doing Fortnite, and I actually have a little like Rode Wireless Go lapel thing, and so I connected that to the Mac, and he wears the lapel, and it's all working. You can hear him. The video game's working. The M4 Mac Mini live streaming 1080p like a champ, not even thinking about it, and it's a great little machine. And so even the base model, like we said, I mean, is it like with education discount you can get it for like $500, right?
Yeah,
I mean that's
pretty impressive.
amazing. Yeah,
Did you see
deal.
I don't know if it was. I think it might have been Jason Snell saying that it's the lightest Mac Apple has ever made.
Really?
It weighs less than the 12-inch MacBook did.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Well, I love it. I mean, I'll put a link to my video, but I mean, basically, if you were just wanting a desktop computer, and if you were wondering, should I get, Mac Studio or whatever, it all depends on what your power needs are. But my goodness, the M4 Pro in a Mac Mini, if you want to upgrade to that, I mean, that's the stuff right there.
It's what I'm using right now. Literally, I'm podcasting from it right now, and I may never send it back. I may just email them and be like, "Can I just send you money instead?"
I was wondering about that. Like, if I set up this iMac and my family just starts using it, like, can I hit up Apple and be like, "Hey, can you just sell this to me?"
Right.
It's all set up, but I don't know how that's gonna work. Also, keeping boxes to send stuff back, I'm having to develop a whole system for that now. Because
we do have a system for that. It's just called a basement, and there's just a pile of boxes in the back of the basement. And every once in a while, my wife is like, "You need to get rid of some of these boxes," and I'm like, "I guess that means I have to send some things back." I've been getting better at it. I have the M3 Max MacBook Pro boxed up and ready to go. I did send back 3 laptops and an iPad and about 4 phones recently.
Wow.
In one box. Yep.
I could see though how, I mean, I don't get as many devices as you to review, but like the AirPods 4 I got sent to review from Apple, and I haven't sent them back yet because I'm like, I have till March, they said, or something, which I know, at least if your experience and what I hear from John Gruber is anything, I could probably keep these forever and they never say anything. But it's you can almost, like, I almost forget, like, oh shoot, I do have to send these back one day, and I need to remember to do that. So
yes, and I've decided that the better thing to do is to send it back sooner rather than later, because once you start like using it all the time, and it's like, oh no, I gotta go back now. My regular laptop is an M3, and that's what I took to Portugal, my M3 MacBook Air.
Sure.
And we podcasted from it. It does everything. It's fine. It has
it's fine.
24 gigs of memory, and it has a 2 terabyte hard drive. It's actually perfect. I have no reason to stop using it. And so it's not like going back to it is like a chore or anything. It's you just get used to using something, and then it's like, oh, this isn't actually mine. I need to send this back. So.
Well, and that's like the AirPods 4, I actually been using a lot because I do prefer them in a lot of situations, just to not feel the in-ear thing, whether it's just around the house and I don't want to be so closed off. And I'm like, man, these AirPods 4 are really nice.
They're really nice.
They're very nice. The noise canceling cancels a little bit. It's not like, AirPods Pro noise canceling, but they're really nice. So I don't know. I'm going to send those back I'm going to wait till right on the day I have to, and then wait 6 more months like Jason and not send them back.
Yeah.
That's all right. All right. We need to talk about this huge antitrust case with the DOJ and Google. But before we do, we have to thank a couple of our friends. We get to thank a few of our friends. The first one being Notion, which literally powers this show, because Jason and I are sharing a Notion document as we speak. So we use every week to plan the show. And I mean, Notion is great. We get to collaborate. I'm going to give Notion some credit here too, because I use Bear Notes for a lot of things. And there's been some sync issues recently where like it'll show me a sync conflict or whatever. And I was in a place of low bandwidth yesterday, and I went to add something to our show notes that we're using right now. And I was like, oh shoot, there's low bandwidth. Is it going to make a sync conflict? Is something not going to like work properly? And I got to give Notion credit. Solid as a rock. I mean, the syncing, it never loses anything. And, they have shortcuts actions now. You can now add links. You can share things through shortcuts and make automations and actually put it into a Notion page. You can create new pages with shortcuts. None of this is even in the script. This is all just me like discovering Notion. I put it with my recent shortcuts videos because now you have Notion actions. So Notion's amazing. We use it every week. But also, Notion has AI built in, and the new Notion AI is the single AI tool. It does it all. You can search across Notion and other apps, generate docs in your own style, analyze PDFs and images, and you can chat with it like a chatbot. I've used Notion AI in the past. It's great just for like selecting a bunch of text and summarizing it, or rewriting it, or brainstorming, just asking it for ideas. Notion AI is connected to multiple knowledge sources. It uses AI knowledge from GPT-4 and Claude, so it combines those two. You basically get the best of all the worlds. And he has other specialized tools where, again, it just works across all your documents. Jason was going to do a thing where we're putting our transcripts in Notion, and you can basically search the transcripts, get the summaries. It's just an incredibly powerful tool. So you can write beautiful docs, collaborate, organize your tasks. Notion is used by over half of Fortune 500 companies, and teams that use Notion send less email, cancel more meetings, save time searching for their work, and reduce spending on tools. And I have to say, I mean, Jason and I basically just collaborate in the note. Like, we don't really text each other during the week. We just put stuff in the note, and it just all works out.
Steven, just this week, somebody was asking a question about the tech pouches or whatever thing we use in our community. And I wanted to answer the question, and I used the Notion AI, and I said, when did Steven and I talk about our tech gear bags? And it told me the episode.
See, Notion. So here's what you do. Try Notion for free when you go to notion.com/primary technology. That's all lowercase letters and the links in the show notes below. Notion.com/primary technology to try the powerful, easy to use Notion AI today. And when you use our link, you are supporting the show. So notion.com/primary technology. Thanks to Notion for sponsoring this episode and our friends at the Data Citizens Dialogues podcast. You've heard us talk about them before. And listen, if you listen to this show, you're probably into technology, interested in data. Well, if you are, you need to check out the Data Citizens Dialogues podcasts made by the folks over at Calibra. And you'll hear firsthand from industry titans, innovators, and executives from some of the world's largest companies as they dive into the hottest topics in data. And you get insight into everything from popular staples such as AI governance and data sharing, and down to more nuanced questions like how do we ensure data readability. I was just listening to the latest episode before we recorded this, and they were talking about decentralizing data and how in companies and organizations it's important for everyone in the organization, top down, to have access to the data they need to get their job done. And it was a great discussion about data decentralization, how to do that privately and securely, but making that data available to everyone in a company. So super interesting. So while data may be shaping our world, Data Citizens Dialogues is shaping the conversation. So you can follow Data Citizens Dialogues on Apple, Spotify, YouTube, or wherever you get your podcast. And the link to that show is in the show notes and our show notes as well. Go take a listen. Our thanks to Data Citizens Dialogues podcast for sponsoring this episode. All right, big antitrust news. The DOJ, the Department of Justice here in the U.S., has now filed an official, official document, official request? What do you call it?
Basically, they have filed their proposed remedies in the antitrust case.
Right.
It's basically their attempt to persuade the judge, this is what you should do.
Right. So this filing is basically saying that Google should have to sell off Chrome as the web browser, and there's an option open that they might need to sell off Android as well, which I think would be a bigger deal. We'll talk about that in a second. But that this selling off of Google Chrome, helping or lessening the monopoly that they believe Google has in things like the web browser market, which is vast, like far and away the number one web browser across the world. I think it's something like 65 to 70% of all browser usage is Chrome. So it is a bunch. Now, this doesn't mean Google has to do it right now. What this filing means, this is what the Department of Justice believes should happen, and they have remedies that they've recommended. And then in April of next year, 2025, I believe, they're going to go before a judge, and the judge is going to rule, basically, does Google have to sell off Chrome and or Android? And so there's a link from The Verge I'll put in the show notes, but Jason also has an article that we'll talk about more. This is a pretty big deal. Now, if you look at Google's revenue, the most revenue comes from ad revenue, which is not necessarily Chrome, right? But having the most used browser also means they can have the most used default search engine, which is Google, which equals the ad revenue. And so having to sell off Chrome obviously would affect that part of their business dramatically. But I think it also is another interesting question, who would buy it? And who could buy it where it's also not just a monopoly? Right. And also, I think part of the ruling, and I don't think this is decided yet, but that Google will not be able to pay someone like Apple for that preferential treatment of being the default browser, which would mean a huge effect on Apple's bottom line if Google can't give them, $20 billion a year? Mm-hmm. Is $20 billion a year to be the default search engine. So this is a big deal. We're not going to know, nothing's going to happen now. We don't know what the judge will rule come April. They might decide not to do this. I think the Android part is also a big deal because that's the most used mobile operating system globally. And that means Google Chrome and Google Search are the defaults. So right. If someone were to buy Android, someone could change that all. Think not worst case scenario. And I don't think this could happen because of their already large influence, but someone like Meta, if Meta were to buy Android or Chrome or whatever, which I don't think they would be allowed to. Hopefully the DOJ and the courts wouldn't allow something like that. But that would mean a company like Meta could now have huge influence to say, the default engine's going to be Meta AI. You're going to have to talk to the Meta bot every time you want to search the web. or that Android, the operating system, would then become Meta OS or whatever, and then a bunch of mobile operating systems would have Meta Search and Meta Apps just pre-programmed as default. So this would be a huge advantage to someone who could buy it, which again makes me think, I don't know who could buy it where it would not increase or not lessen competition, but silo another company more. So anyway, this is fascinating, and I don't know. Tell me what your thoughts on this.
Yeah, I think there's a couple of interesting things. There's a hearing in April where both sides will make their case, and the judge has said, Judge Mehta, which is not at all confusing, has said
MEHTA.
Yes, has said that he plans to rule by next August. Okay, so this is, and then of course there will be appeals, right? Actually, Google is appealing the verdict that they are a monopoly. So even if this goes on, like there are a lot of things that are still, we're a long way from any of this happening.
Right.
It does not make any sense to force Google to sell Chrome for several reasons. It doesn't make any money, so no one's going to buy it, right? Because here's the thing. Bloomberg reported that there's an estimate that Chrome would be worth on its own $15 to $20 billion. To who? It doesn't make any money. Like Chrome makes $0 of direct revenue. The reason it is so valuable to Google is it provides it a way of distributing all of its other services, and it prevents other players like Apple and Microsoft, and maybe to some extent Meta, from prioritizing other, like you could imagine that if there was no Chrome, Apple could make it so that in Safari you couldn't access Google search or something, like if they wanted to start their own search engine. So it gives them that sort of hedge against that. So it's extremely valuable to Google. Their entire business is like just entirely based on the idea that they have their own browser that gives them all of this. Also, they use data from the browser. You click on a thing, they use that information, and it informs the search engine. All that's great. Like it's super valuable to Google. The only companies that off the top of your head could just swing $15 to $20 billion to buy something like this would never be allowed to buy it. There's no way the government would be like, sweet, Apple, buy Chrome, or sweet, Microsoft. Yeah, Microsoft, you should remember the whole thing where we tried to force you to break up because you had a browser. You have one now. Why don't you buy Chrome? And now you just like it's never going to happen. There's like, and so to me, this feels like, and this is what I wrote in my article, this feels like an attempt to regulate the internet by people who don't understand how the internet works. Like it doesn't make any sense to do that. And maybe you could look at this as sort of like a bargaining position. We're trying to ask for everything and we'll settle somewhere in between and we'll just kind of go from there. But this is like, it doesn't make sense. And I don't think it solves the actual problem, which is that Google search I don't think anybody would argue that Google search is not a monopoly, right? Like, I don't know, 94% of searches go through Google. Like, and the alternatives are just not good. Like Bing, bad, right? Ecosia, like they're sort of like the eco-friendly one. Every time you do a search, they plant a tree. That's not exactly how it works, but sort of. No, for real. Like that's their business model. That's their business model.
There must be not very many searches, Jason.
That's the business model. And
wait, how do you spell that? I'm gonna find this.
Ecosia. I think that's how you spell it. I've interviewed the CEO. Like they're legit, but
okay.
But my thing is, they for now have been using Bing's search results. Now they actually have some of their own search capabilities. But my point was just going to be that they are like, it's still just Bing, right? Like, because Google doesn't license their data. So the bottom line here is that I don't understand the government's remedy. This, like, it feels like when you're a lawyer, you look at, well, thing went wrong, we sued, we won, now we have to find the structural remedies to prevent that thing from happening again. But you can't just extract Chrome from Google, right? Like it's not a thing. Same thing with Android. Android may be a little bit more, but also Android doesn't on its own make any money either. Like Google doesn't sell Android. It's an open source operating system. Now they do have deals, and this is one of the things that they're trying to prevent. You have to have the Google Play Store and you have to take Chrome. But if you're going to use a smartphone operating system, you need a way to get apps on it and you need a browser. Like this, it's just perplexing.
Which I mean, you could say that's how the EU has tried to regulate Apple. Whereas, yes, you need a browser. We're going to make you choose every time you update your operating system to make sure that's the browser you want. which is not a great solution either.
Okay, so here's what's going to happen, because that's the other thing is Google, you can no longer have these deals to be the preferential search option as a default. Okay, Google's going to keep paying Apple all of this money because that money is a revenue share, right? Google is paying Apple for traffic. And so they're paying them essentially a percentage of the search ad revenue based on the traffic that comes from Safari for being the default. What's going to happen is Apple's going to, because also other search engines would pay that as well. The money is negligible because nobody's actually using them, right? But Google also pays Mozilla. Like all of Mozilla's revenue is from Google search deal. And so what will end up happening is you can't have a contract that requires you to be the default. We're going to put up a ballot. And then as soon as people choose Google, Apple's still going to get the traffic like acquisition costs. Like it's going to end up being the same. You're not going to actually solve anything.
Okay. Quick aside.
Yeah. Of course. Yeah, they really do. They plant trees. I wasn't making this up.
They've planted 219 million trees.
Yes.
Which is a lot of trees. I don't think it's like every time you make a search, but they plant a lot of trees.
I said I was oversimplifying it a little bit.
I know.
Listen, I'm going to send you a link. I interviewed him, the CEO, 2 years ago.
That's pretty cool.
At Web Summit, actually. The only reason anyway, I'll send you the link. You can put it in there if people want to read more about Ecosia.
No, that's great. I do think, like you were saying, this are laws that seemingly made by people who don't understand because, the bigger issue is Google search. You could say Google Zero, which is like what The Verge and Eli talk about, where traffic to websites is screeching to a halt because Google is not sending people there. AI overviews, every time you use Google, like now, it used to be where I would get an AI overview like 1 out of 5 times, and now it's 100% of the time. 100% of the time. And I even find like my own habits are changing slightly because sometimes the AI overview gives me the info that I want. And like 2 months ago, I was just resistant and I didn't want to look at the AI overview. I just scrolled down to the links. And now, because sometimes it takes up so much of the screen, like I'm literally here on my studio display, I do a search in Google and the AI overview is 3/4 of the page. And it's basically like if I'm asking for steps on something or information on something, it's basically giving me everything, I think, in that AI overview. And so even my habits are changing. And like none of that is affected whether or not Google sells Chrome or not. Because AI overviews and the search results and all of that, like people are still just going to go to google.com and type whatever. Because I mean, google.com is like the most visited website on the internet still, I think.
Yeah. Absolutely.
Like not even like just searches, just like google.com. People just go there. And so this, again, whatever it would affect Google's bottom line, it would not actually ideally, if the government's going to pass a law or make a change, the ideal scenario is that it actually makes a better experience for customers and just the regular people who use this stuff. And this would not really make it better. Honestly, some weird company, thing like HP buys Chrome. Okay. What are they going to change the default search engine to what? They're not going to make their own. They don't have, a search engine. Are they going to use a third-party one? Everyone's immediate reaction is going to be like, this stinks because it's not Google and it's not what they're used to. And so people are just going to go to google.com anyway. And so I don't like it. That doesn't make sense. I think the Android thing, like you're saying, it would affect them more, but still, like people are just, there is a gravitational pull because it's been so long, so many years. Like this is not going to change people's habits. It's not going to change whether or not people use Google or not. It's just going to make the experience worse because now it's like, now I have to struggle to where I find the things I want to find. And so, and I don't think the DOJ, and you know more about this than I do, that they don't have the wherewithal or the abilities to like actually pass laws that would functionally change how Google conducts search. Like, I feel like that's more like if laws were being passed in the interest of the person who makes the website about fabrics, and the DOJ wants their website to still get traffic when people search for fabrics, this doesn't change anything. But also, it's really hard to make laws about that. And I mean, I don't know the answer, but I don't know. I feel like wouldn't that be the more valuable course of action? But it's also harder, and maybe DOJ doesn't know what to do with it.
Yeah. So I'm just going to say this. This is the libertarian side of me. I don't want government making laws about any of this. And
Fair.
Here's the reason why. One, again, they don't understand how the internet works. Fine. Like, just whatever. But if you make a website and you sell fabrics, you're not actually entitled to traffic from anything. Now, I'm not arguing that Google hasn't totally messed everything up. That's not what I'm saying. But I am saying, like, you can't make a law. Like, protectionism doesn't usually work out the way you think it's going to. It usually has a lot of unintended consequences. And I don't know that that's exactly the route that we want to go down. I think that I heard on another podcast this week, the co-host talking about how, like, the way that we could have prevented this was from better laws and regulation early on. Chrome was a thing that Google started internally. Like, it's not like Android where they essentially bought it very, very, very early on, or like DoubleClick, which was like their ad tech stack that they bought or whatever. They built Chrome from the ground up. And the reason it happened is because of the Microsoft US antitrust case where, right, like, the U.S. sued Microsoft, tried to break up Microsoft, won a settlement in the Supreme Court that basically said you can't bundle Internet Explorer, you have to let people choose their browser, whatever, and now we have Chrome. Like, that's the unintended consequence 20 years later is we still have a browser monopoly. It's just not Microsoft, it's Google. So what, we're going to do this every 20 years? Like, what? I don't think that this is real. Like, the definition of insanity is continuing to sue big tech companies and getting the same outcome. Like, I don't understand. And I don't think that there's a way to regulate this. I'm not smart enough to figure out what the solution is, but I do, because again, what is the downside to Google being a monopoly? Okay. Theoretically, there's two possible outcomes. One, Google search sucks, which, let's be honest, most of the time it does. It's the best option and it's terrible. Like, that's really the truth, right? It just keeps getting worse.
It keeps getting worse.
Right.
It keeps getting worse.
But that's because they have no meaningful competition. And then the other possible outcome is that advertisers might have to pay more money because they don't have other places. Now, fortunately for advertisers, there is an alternative, which is Meta, which is another monopoly, right? There is I
was going to say they have another alternative being YouTube, but then I was like, wait a minute.
That would be owned by
also.
Oh, shoot, Google. Okay.
Shoot. Yeah,
but what I'm trying to say is, like, the advertiser side, like, that would be the downside, is that the price to advertise goes up because you don't have as many choices. You're locked into that. So I think that those are real problems, and I think that that's what the DOJ is trying to solve. I just don't think that saying sell off Chrome is going to make any sense, because even if you got a group of private equity investors together and they pulled together $20 billion, the only way that they get a return on that is by getting traffic acquisition costs from Google search, right? Like, we're right back where we started. So maybe the outcome is that it costs Google more money every year. Like, fine, but that doesn't actually fix anything.
All right, let's fix it right now, Jason.
Okay, let's do it. We're starting a browser right now.
The question is,
the
what is the
primary
web?
browser?
What is the web? Here's the thing, like, the base problem that needs a solution. Someone makes incredible fabrics, and they have a website where people can buy them. And there, on the other side, there are people who want incredible fabrics, and they want to find that person. And that person wants customers to find them. Like, if those two people find each other, like, it will be a wonderful long-term relationship, and they will buy lots of fabrics over the years. The person has a viable business. Everybody, like, those two parties can be happy. The problem is, how do people find things on the internet? Like, that's the problem. And obviously, being the biggest moneymaker, like, there's just so many different motivations in that middleman part. And the web is great because anyone can have a website and it can be open. And that's why I'm running 4 different social media windows all the time on my Mac, because it's like no one knows where to go to look for stuff. And it's like, maybe the answer is blue sky. I don't know. But, like, surely after all these decades, can't we all just get along? Like, can't there just be a system where the person who wants the fabrics can go to a place, and the web, I imagine, and find that person without that person paying? Like, that's the problem. Like, that fabric website could pay $1 million, be on Instagram and TikTok and have ads everywhere, but they don't have that money. And so it's like, how can that person, if they truly have the best stuff, how can they be found? And I get, like, that's the problem, right? Like,
okay, yes, but the utopian answer is sure, everyone just finds everything on Google.
Immediately going to be a downer. Okay, go ahead.
But the real answer, though, is Instagram ads. Like, seriously, it's not $1 million. They don't need to spend $1 million because you pay per conversion, or you pay for the traffic that comes from. And there is, I think it might have been Ben Thompson who says, and I don't think he originated this, but I think this is where I heard it from, that there is no single greater source of new businesses that have started in the last 10 years than Facebook, because there are so many businesses that literally would never exist except for Facebook ads. It has created businesses because you can just, you want to sell belts or widgets or, think about all of the companies like Nomad, right? Like all these companies are entirely built on Instagram ads and Facebook ads, like seriously. And so that's where you're a fabric company, because you can target exactly who you want, right? You can target the right types of people. And the incentive for the platform, in this case, Meta, is we want them to find you because that's how we make money. Those incentives are aligned. And so, and also Google ads, like the other option to that is Google ads. Somebody searches for best fabric store in, Tampa or whatever, Michigan, you want to show up there, you pay for an ad. There was this weird sort of distortion that happened because for many, many, many years, like all of civilization, the way you found customers was advertising, right? And then the internet happened, and all of a sudden it's like, wait, my cost of distributing my message went down to zero because I can just put it on the internet and people will find things. And Google did this really nice thing by indexing the entire internet. And then Google realized, yes, but we like money too. So what if we make you pay? Like that's just kind of the way that this happened. And
Well, and thinking like even farther back before advertising, because I'm pretty sure there was a world before advertising.
Very short
word of mouth.
Yeah.
It was word of mouth. And that's where I do think, you look at the creator economy, and maybe that's what that's becoming. It's still advertising a lot of times, it's influencers, whatever, being paid, but it is that kind of direct recommendation from a person. But I don't know. I just want the people who want the fabrics to find the fabrics. You know what I mean? But you are like, it is weird to think that maybe Meta is one of the good guys here, because I will say there's been lots of individuals, business owners that would ask me like, how do I get like exposure? How do people find me? And a lot of times the answer was Facebook and Instagram ads, because you can pay whatever you can afford. Like you can pay $50 and someone will look at your stuff, and then it's on you to have the good stuff that people want to keep coming back to, but you can pay $50 and people will find you. And like, I have friends that are actually, their entire business model is helping other businesses get ads on Facebook and Instagram because it is that effective, and they have huge success stories. So,
well, and if you spend $1,000 on Instagram ads, all you need is $1,001 of incremental like net income. No, seriously, that you would have never had any otherwise. And all of a sudden you just keep turning that dial up.
And that's how like all the Amazon like knockoff products work. Like you basically put a product on Amazon. It could be like just a slight rebrand of something. Like people do this as a business. Yeah. Like just sell on Amazon. They buy Facebook ads. They sell the thing at a very small profit, and then they just keep doing it over and over again. But anyway, I don't know why this conversation made me sad. I don't know what the future holds, Jason. But
I don't think it involves Google selling off Chrome.
Oh, okay. You don't think it's
I don't know that the judge will even order that, to be honest. I just don't think that's the right alternative. There may be some structural alternatives that are necessary. I just don't think that's the one that I think that's the one that makes people who want tech regulated feel good, because it's like, stick it to big bad Google. But I just don't think it actually makes sense when you think about it.
Here's how we're going to solve it. We just need every judge who has to rule on a big tech case to listen to this podcast. They have to at least listen to maybe this episode, maybe a string of 5 to 10 episodes. There's just required listening, so they get the full picture of what the ramifications might be, and then they can rule. I think that should be the requirement.
Yep, sounds good. We did it. We just passed the law.
We just solved it.
This is so easy.
All right, we got a couple other things about Microsoft and Apple news, but we have one more sponsor to thank, a very special sponsor, because this is our friend Rogue Amoeba, who makes Audio Hijack. And I mean, Jason and I are using it right now. We record the audio, the WAV files directly with Audio Hijack. Listen, Audio Hijack is just incredible. If you do anything with audio on your Mac, you want to record any kind of audio, you have to try Audio Hijack. They have incredibly easy to use UI. So let's say you want to record your USB mic input and maybe audio coming from a web browser. You can do that with Audio Hijack. You build the little blocks. You tell it what to record, where you want the audio to go, your output. you're good to go. It can be hardware devices, system audio, and there's even crazy tools like transcription. You can literally transcribe the audio while you record it with Audio Hijack. I use it all the time. I use it for every video that I make. I use Audio Hijack right there in the menu bar. I have a bunch of sessions set up so you can have different kind of templates. This is my video recording template. This is my primary tech recording. And I just click run, and it's just recording in the background. And one of my favorite little features is that I can see the levels in the menu bar of my Mac. So as I'm talking, I'm literally staring at it right now. As I'm talking, I see little levels going up and down. When Jason talks, I see his levels, and it just gives me peace of mind knowing that Audio Hijack has got me covered. And I've never, again, I've said it before, I've knocked on wood. I think this desk is real wood. Never, ever lost a recording with Audio Hijack. Every audio recording I've done for years and years, I mean, I'm talking however long it's been around because I've been using it forever. Audio Hijack, rock solid. So here's what you do. Go to macaudio.com/primarytech, and you can use the coupon code TECHXX to save 20% off Audio Hijack. You can be Audio Hijack. You can buy one of the bundles, which Loopback I've used is an incredible tool. Piezo for even simpler audio recording. Get 20% off one of their bundles or off Audio Hijack itself when you use the coupon code TECHXX. Click that link in the episode description. You will not regret it. It's probably the first app I install on any new Mac, which even that Mac Mini that's sitting in my closet, I put Audio Hijack on there just because. You never know. You never know when you're going to want to use Audio Hijack. So go to macaudio.com/primarytech. That link's in the show notes, and use the coupon code TECHXX for 20% off. Our thanks to Rogue Amoeba for sponsoring this episode. All right, couple quick news bits. Then we have our holiday gift guide. Real quick, we'll call this the lightning round. Windows is making bootleg Mac Mini. No, this is not really what it is.
That is what I thought of the first time I saw that.
The Windows 3.
Very different.
Very different. The Windows 365 link, it's $350. Cheaper than Mac Mini, but basically it will stream Windows over the internet to your display, whatever you connect to this little box. Interesting idea. It's basically like a VM. Like you're buying a virtual machine.
I remember the first computer that I used on a regular basis was like a terminal thing when I was in college. And it was basically just like a shell that you logged in, and it was like connected to a computer somewhere else or whatever. That was a long time ago. It was terrible. That was when like 3 days later, somebody down the hall got the first iMac. And I'm like, oh, that's what a computer should be, right? Anyway, this is a little bit more sophisticated than that, but not much, because it's literally just processing a video signal and sending it to a monitor. Right. But it is kind of an interesting thing. Only reason I put this link in here is because it was like I don't know if it was last year that Windows announced this Windows 365 thing where you can basically run Windows in the cloud. All of your applications and everything is in the cloud, but you can run it like locally. Actually, as a Mac user, I'm curious. Is that a thing that you ever would want to do? Run Windows in the cloud?
Run Windows in the cloud or Mac in the cloud?
No, run Windows in the cloud. Like, do you actually have a use in your life for running Windows? Probably not. So you don't really care?
Probably not. I mean, I'm sure my kids would like to run whatever Epic Games mods you can do only on Windows, which I did install a VM one time on a Mac to do that, but maybe that, but not me. It's a cool idea, though. I mean, $350. And you have a computer in the cloud.
Yep.
Cool. All right. NVIDIA, who makes the GPUs for the entire AI industry, they're making a ton of money. And there you go. That's that.
Yeah. Basically, they make GPUs that print money. Like literally, that's what it is.
GPUs that print money.
They figured out how to make GPUs that just spit out money. They suck up electricity and they spit out money. I think this is actually funny because if you read the news reporting about it, NVIDIA's stock price was down 3% after this report, even though their revenue doubled year over year.
What?
And the reason is because the previous year it had like tripled. And so it's like the growth has slowed. And it's like, well, yes, of course. First of all of these things are supply constrained, meaning that NVIDIA is selling every single one that it can make, right? Secondly, it's very expensive, like $35 billion for the quarter. Like that's a whole lot. And even these big giant tech companies, like they do still have budgets, right? And the other thing that stuck to my mind is it's like if you sell $100 worth of a thing, and then the next year you sell $200 worth of a thing, you went up 100%, right?
Right.
Well, what if you went from $100 to $300? Okay, so you tripled it or whatever. Then the next year you only doubled. You went to $600. That increase is still more than the previous 2 years worth of increases. Like,
right?
It's like Oh, yes, by a percent. That's what happens with large numbers. It gets
Yeah.
harder to continue to have the exact same like huge amount, but a
Sheesh.
doubling in the third year is more than the previous gains of those. Like
Right.
I don't know. I feel like anyone who's worried about this, you're just first of all, it's clearly it's definitely a bubble. It's going to. This is not investment advice. I don't. But
No,
I'm
no,
just
we don't do
saying,
that. We don't do that.
there's no way it's sustainable forever. Either someone else is going
Right.
to figure this out, how to make these things, AMD or whatever. We're going to be running private cloud compute on M2 Ultras or whatever for forever
Right.
in Apple's data centers. They're going to figure this out. It's not going to continue forever. But man, like NVIDIA's fine. They're the largest company in the world right now.
Everyone was after trees trying to grow money. They just needed to make GPUs. You know what I mean? But
Every GPU you plant in the ground, a tree is searched for on the internet. I don't know.
that'd be a hilarious sketch. I think it was Kylie Robinson from The Verge. She was on an episode of The Vergecast talking about how all these AI companies are now scrambling a bit because the idea was that every new model that like OpenAI were to release was going to be a leap above the previous model, which you could say ChatGPT like 3.5 was that leap back when it really hit the stage. And then GPT 4.0, a bit of a leap there. Well, it appears that these AI companies are not achieving those great leaps and that it might be slowing down. And so when Jason talks about the bubble, if, because OpenAI, we talked about this, I think, last week, but supposedly it might release a new model before the end of the year, or at least announce it, and then maybe early next year. And if it is not a leap above 4.0, it does feel like this quickly will be like, oh, never mind. Like, you guys aren't going to build some kind of sentient thing. You're just making a slightly better chatbot every 6 months.
Right.
Okay, well, maybe not. So I'd be curious to see. Also, Apple News, which I've been using Apple News. I enjoy the Apple News app. Apple's going to be selling Apple News ads directly for the first time. This is a scoop from Axios, which I think is interesting, just Apple being more involved in the ad delivery on its apps. And honestly, that is the one kind of negative part about Apple News is sometimes the ads are a little like, whoa, that's a lot of ads, or it's kind of breaks, I don't know, it doesn't feel as integrated. And so Apple actually directly distributing ads or buying ads for Apple News. It's interesting. I'm curious how it's going to affect the experience, but also, yeah, they got to get more in the ad business.
I mean, to be clear, the problem with the ads in Apple News is that you're reading an article and all of a sudden there's a giant ad for toe fungus cream. Like that is the problem with Apple
But that's what
News
this myself.
Well, I'm saying it isn't a problem with the number of ads. It's the problem with the quality of the ads. They're so bad. They are the worst garbage ads anywhere. Like they just really are. It's like it's actually embarrassing when I think about how do the people who run Apple News walk out in public in like if their friends know what they do. Like listen, it's Apple.
Yeah.
They do everything so well. They over-engineer everything, and then I'm not even. It's like not even hyperbole to say that the ads are for toe fungus. Like it's just so incredibly bad. All of the ads, it's stupid. I don't even understand.
Speaking about ads though, the Apple Intelligence ads, you've said before, and we talked about on this podcast, like they're not good ads. The ads that Apple is making for Apple Intelligence specifically. And I think I'm going to include this video in the show notes. This is a CNET video, and I forget her name, but Bridget Carey. She's talking about Apple Intelligence. Did you see this video?
No.
You should watch it.
Ooh, I did hear that headline though.
She eviscerates the Apple Intelligence ads, basically saying like Apple thinks you're an idiot, and that's why it's like that's what these ads are saying and why you need Apple Intelligence. And she like goes hard in the paint. That's a sports reference. I just know the saying. I think it's related to basketball. She goes hard in the paint. I just watch the first like minute of this video. I mean, she's not wrong either. Like, she's not wrong. Basically saying like, she goes through and she talks about the different ads, which are like, oh, this dude like who didn't do the work, and he like summarizes this report or whatever, or like this know nothing. Like she hammers them.
Well, we talked about the one with the moron dad for the fish funeral.
Right.
Yeah. In that sense, I have to agree.
I'll include that link. It's wild. All right, we need to do our top 5 gift guide.
Yep.
Now, I do want to say you threw this in here, and I do want to hear how your experience has been. Apple Vision Pro, the ultra widescreen mode. I was going to put the beta on my Vision Pro to try this out, which is in 2.2. You'll be able to do the ultra widescreen Mac and high definition Macs. But then I found out you have to have your Mac on macOS Sequoia dev beta as well. And then I was like, nah. With my experience with downgrading, I was like, no, thank you. But you did it.
Yeah,
You have computers everywhere.
I will also say, well, so I did it on this MacBook Pro M4, which is a review unit.
Right.
By the way, like, the dev betas are fine. Like, on the Mac, I have not had a single problem.
Really?
In fact, Cass, I keep forgetting that I'm running the dev betas because, like, it's fine. I mean,
Okay.
I don't worry about battery. It's not like your phone where it's like, my battery should last me 12 hours and it lasts me 2.5. What could possibly be wrong? But I just wanted to say, Mark Gurman a week or so ago said that this is like the killer feature for a Vision Pro. By the way, I don't think anyone should buy a Vision Pro just for this. Like, that's stupid, because you could buy the 2 studio displays and effectively have the same real estate. Like, whatever.
And it's cheaper. It would be cheaper.
By a little bit, yes, $300 cheaper. But I do think, one, it makes a case that you should just be able to virtualize macOS inside the Vision Pro, period. Like, it's got an M2 in it. It can handle it just fine. There's absolutely no reason for that to not be a thing. And that would be like the killer reason to buy. If you could wear that on your face and actually run macOS natively. But I discovered yesterday that this really is the killer use case for taking the Vision Pro, because I spend a lot of time driving people to soccer practice. And one of our daughters, her soccer practice is about an hour and a half away. And so I like to try to get work done because I'm obviously not going to leave, and it's an hour and a half practice. And when I got there yesterday, I put the Vision Pro on, and I turned it on an environment, and I worked on my laptop with the ultra-wide display, and it was glorious, Steven. You actually should do this. It is one of those things that is so much better than you think it's going to be.
Really?
Yeah, yeah.
Now, this from the guy who would refuse to wear it on a plane.
I know.
But you're here at a soccer practice.
I knew. Well, I was in my car in the corner of the parking lot. Like, I wasn't
just
sitting.
Shades you put up to cover all the windows.
No, I wasn't. But I mean, it gets dark at 5:00. Like, no one can see me. But it's like, and the screen is off on your computer, so no one even can like walk by and see that light or whatever. It's great.
So one's come by and knocked on the window.
Nobody knocked on the window. It's fine. But I mean, I guess if you walked by the car, it would seem kind of weird. Why is that guy sitting in the Tesla over there in the corner with a headset?
It would look futuristic. You're just kind of jacked in, and you see the little glowy things on the front.
If you don't care. Yeah, and I did know I was going to take some heat over the not wearing it on a plane thing, but this was even better because like the problem is like when you're just sitting in your car, it's hard to like focus and there's a lot going on or whatever, but putting that Vision Pro on and having a real screen, like, it was nice.
Well, it's also like if you want to open a laptop on your lap in the car and you're in the driver's seat.
Yeah, it's hard.
It's hard.
There's not a lot of space. Yeah.
You're going to be like tilted off to the side. Sometimes I'll just move to the passenger seat so I could do it, but all right, I'll have to try it.
It was pretty good.
I'll have to try it. All right, we're going to do a holiday gift guide. We're going to do 5 items. We're going to go back and forth, share. These are recommendations that you should get either yourself or your family and friends. And so this is our personal tech segment. Jason, you want to start us off?
Yeah, so I was pitching this idea as we should just do like a tech gift guide since, you know, by the time, I mean, we should figure out when we're recording next week since it's Thanksgiving. But by the time people listen to our next episode, it will be, you know, time for buying holiday things. All right, so my first item is going to be not that exciting. No, my first item is AirPods 4, hands down. I think absolutely the best AirPods that Apple has ever made for most people, right? I still, the AirPods Pro version 2 USB .2, whatever version it does, that's great. But I absolutely, AirPods 4, I prefer the ones with the noise cancellation, but even the ones without are excellent, excellent, excellent. So that's my first recommendation. If you have, and at this price, like, they're just kind of a no-brainer. I guarantee you they're going to be on sale. You'll probably be able to get the noise-canceling ones for like $129 or something on Black Friday. I'm just being serious.
Probably.
Like, I'm sure Target and a bunch of places are going to have them on sale.
Yeah, this is going to be fun. If this might be the only thing we double up on, but this is.
I was thinking we should have shared our list to make sure that they are like different.
We probably should have done. This is the first time we're ever doing it. It's okay.
Yeah, we're not good at these things.
This is literally going to be my number one pick. But anyway.
All right.
So I'm going to do one different. So that was Jason's. This one's mine. I don't think you're going to have this one. This is, I went from like cheapest to most expensive. This is a little cable management thing from Anker. And it's $10 right now. It's on sale. It's usually $13, but it's $10 right now. But I love this thing. I have this on my nightstand. And what it is a little, it's a little pad, and it's got 5 spots, and it comes with these little rectangular bricks where you can slide a cable in the brick, and then these little bricks magnetically attach to the Anker pad. And so basically, it's cable management. So you can put this little brick on the end of a cable, so this way it doesn't fall behind your nightstand or fall behind your desk anymore. And then the little magnet thing, you're right there. And
Nice.
the cables are right there, and they're easy to come off because it's a magnet. You charge your device, put it right back on with the magnet thing. It's $10. It's a great gift. Everybody's got cables they have to deal with. I recommend this one. What's yours?
Right. My next one is the Crucial X10 Pro external SSD.
All
These
right.
things are, compared to like the Samsung or SanDisk or whatever, these are ridiculously inexpensive, extremely small, like
That is small.
really, really, really small, very fast. Like I think they're like
Yeah.
2,500 megabits per second or whatever. Like very, 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 very fast. You can get a 2 terabyte one right now for like $150 at Best Buy or Crucial.com. Personally, I think that they're the best external SSD. I know a lot of people using like either digital DSLRs or mirrorless cameras or Blackmagics are using all the like the T5 and the T7. Whoops, and those are great. These are like 40% cheaper and faster.
That's wild. And the transfer speed is still fast?
Oh yeah, they're
That's
with,
amazing.
yep, exactly.
We're going to put links to all this in the show notes, by the way. And do you have affiliate links? Do you have an affiliate
No,
link?
I don't.
Okay. Well,
I'm not allowed to have affiliate links because otherwise I would just be like populating my articles with all kinds of affiliate stuff.
Okay. Well, I'll put links in there. They'll likely be affiliates.
That's totally fine.
So I'll put links to everything. All right. My number 4 pick is a car charger. Listen, everybody's got a charger phone. I have a lot of charging related things here because I'm all about it. But this is a MagSafe car charger from ESR. It's Qi 2, so it'll charge at 15 watts. It's $20 for $22 right now on sale. There's a lot of Black Friday sales right now. And this is the one I use. It goes on your air conditioning vent. It's got a little stabilizer, which I really like. A lot of these car chargers don't have like the bottom stabilizer to actually hold it firmly on the thing and not put all the weight on the air conditioner vent. So this is the one from ESR. It's great. I recommend. 20-something bucks.
Nice. My next one is the Ember Travel Mug. I sent you a link. It's like $50 off right now.
Yeah.
It is I think you can get it with Find My in it.
Yes,
I
you
think
can.
it has
You
Find
can.
My in it.
Yes.
This is the travel version, so it's the one that you meant to like take with you. It has a lid and everything like that. And I have the desk, the little one that you have on your desk and stuff. I thought this was the stupidest thing ever until I started using one, and it's just amazing. It's so useful.
It's great. My wife has one of these. I got this for my wife for Christmas, I think 2 years ago, and she loves it. She uses it all the time, every time she goes out of the house. So yeah, highly recommend. Talking about Find My, nice segue. Get somebody an AirTag. These are also on sale. You can get one for $20. $20 for an AirTag on Amazon right now, which is amazing. But also, don't just get someone an AirTag. Listen, get him an AirTag and get him a keychain. You don't have to buy Apple's keychain because it's too expensive. I've done the cheap ones from Amazon all the time. I don't know where the other recommended products are, but you can get 4 keychains for $10 that fit an AirTag, little silicone things with a little key ring. Get them the whole deal, and then people don't have to lose their keys. Get somebody an AirTag.
AirTags, that's a good option. You're right. I agree.
Thank
Okay.
you.
My next one is my 3-in-1, which is not really a 3-in-1, but I am definitely going to recommend this Nomad Goods 65 watt power adapter with the Apple Watch charger on the top of it. Because of the size, it is so small. It's super easy to throw in a bag, and you can just use this as your main portable charger, right? It's 65 watts. So if you have a MacBook Air or even if you have a MacBook Pro, you're going to be fine using this most of the time, and you can plug 2 USB-Cs into it, plus charge your Apple Watch, especially if you're going somewhere over the holidays. This is perfect. We're going to go stay somewhere, but we just want to make sure we can charge everything. I actually think I thought it was a gimmick when I first got it, but it's actually pretty great. They do make a 65 watt version that doesn't have the Apple Watch charging, and it's only $50. And I think that's actually a steal too, because it's super small. And the thing that's nice about having a 65 watt charger like this that's really small is it's super easy to take places, and you still get 2 USB-C ports.
That's fine. So I actually had a bonus pick I was going to do at the end, but I'll put it now. Their Slim Charger, which is also
I know you love
65
those.
watts.
Yeah,
love this thing. It is just so tiny, and it's still 65 watts, GAN charger, 2 USB-C ports on the bottom. I highly recommend that as well. So
I would recommend anything from Nomad, to be honest. I love their stuff.
Fair.
So
fair. That's fair. All right, my next one, This is a lot of charging related things. I'm sorry, but also if you're gonna get somebody a battery pack, this one's on a pretty good sale. This is the Anker MagGo 10,000 milliamp hour Qi 2 15-watt battery pack. So it charges at 15 watts wirelessly. I've done so many videos on batteries. If you watch my YouTube channel, and many that say they're Qi 2 don't charge at 15 watts. They charge at 7.5 because power, whatever. This one actually charges at 15 watts. It's great capacity. It's on sale now for $50 instead of the normal 75, and it is ultra slim. Like, this is the thinnest 10,000 milliamp hour battery. Listen, everybody has to charge their phone, and even if you just have one of these laying around, like when people come visit for the holidays, and they're like, "Oh, do you have a charger?" If they have an iPhone 12 or newer, and you can just hand this to them and you go, "Here, just stick this on the back of your phone and it'll charge," blows people's minds, and also just a nice experience. Be like, you don't have to be tethered to the wall like an animal. Here, take this battery, charge your stuff. So I recommend batteries. All right, what's your
my last one? It might be a little bit unconventional, but I'm going to recommend the Walmart special MacBook Air 13-inch M1. It's only $649, but it's for real. If you have someone in your family who needs just a reliable laptop that they can use for a while, that's going to just, work without a problem. It'll run Apple Intelligence. They don't let you upgrade basically anything. You get to pick the color, and that's it. So it's only got 8 gigs of memory and 256. But like, if you have a kid who is being forced to use a Chromebook at school and you're just tired of it, or you have somebody who's like, maybe you have a college student in the family that just needs something better, like this for $650. I mean, these things were of good value at $1,000, and at $650, I could still recommend the M1 MacBook Air. Honestly, my wife uses one of these. I think she has I think she has 16 gigs of memory and like a 1 terabyte hard drive, so she's going to be using it forever, basically. Yeah. But that says a lot. She's been using it since 2020, and it's 2024, almost 2025, and she has never once said, "I think it'd be nice to upgrade my laptop. It'll just keep working forever." So
that's why that is a good deal. I mean, and the fact that you can get it in colors, including a gold, it's more than you could say for like, But anyway, that's a great pick. All right, and my last pick, Apple Vision Pro. No, just kidding.
Oh my gosh. No, but the Belkin head strap, if you know someone who has a Vision Pro, is absolutely an essential.
My number one pick, you literally stole it on the first one. I was going to say AirPods 4 because I was trying to go up in price, and it was the most expensive thing I was recommending.
Okay.
But AirPods 4, I mean, I love them, and even I have AirPods Pro 2 and still use these a lot. So this would be obviously a great Christmas gift. Get it engraved. It's fun to get. It's hard to know if you're getting it for a gift, like what someone would want engraved. Usually initials would be fun. If you know their initials, like 3 initials looks cool on an AirPods case. But anyway, that's our gift guide. Look at that. Gift guide 2024.
That is the most organized list thing we've ever done so far.
That was good. All right, so we're going to go record an episode. I want to talk about the Jaguar rebrand and social media and the death of it all. But we're going to go do that in a bonus episode. How you listen to it is if you could support the show in Apple Podcast or directly with Memberful. And here's the deal, because I've had multiple people now reach out. If you support the show directly in Apple Podcasts, we love you. Thank you so much for doing it. Apple, not me. Apple takes the chapters out of the subscriber audio. So if you support the show, which you would think you get a better experience that way, you don't get the chapters or chapter artwork. There's nothing I can do about it. I'm literally sent direct emails to Apple. I'm so sorry. So if you have signed up that way, but you want the chapters, direct message me in the community or shoot me a DM on social media. And I've been basically just giving them like a year of the Memberful membership since I already did the Apple podcast. So just reach out. But if you want all the chapters, the best experience, have one feed where you get ad-free and our bonus episodes, plus you can listen to the whole back catalog of bonus episodes, support us at primarytech.fm, click bonus episodes, and you can support us there or directly on Apple Podcasts. We're going to go record that bonus episode, so we hope to see you there. Keep leaving us 5-star reviews in Apple Podcasts and Spotify. You can do that. We're a 5-star show in both places now, thanks to you all, and you get a shout-out at the top of the show. And as always, thanks for listening. Thanks for watching. We'll catch you next time.